To most of you people here are brand new to this company, obviously. I mean, you can't be more than a couple months old, right? If you're in Mexico. So show you some insights that I've been fortunate enough to gain from decades of experience in this industry, but actually before this industry in traditional business. There's just certain principles and there's certain laws and certain concepts that just seem to work across the board for everything. And I want to share with you some of the things I've seen that it's going to make your success in this business more guaranteed, okay? I think you're here for one reason. You want to find a better place in life, okay? And this is a vehicle. That's what it is. It's a vehicle. And it's the same vehicle for everybody. I mean, nobody in here has a different product or a different comp plan or a different company or a different marketplace. You all have the exact same one, but it's going to be what you do with it, okay? And you know, every person in this company starts out as what I call a baby brand partner. Our title is called brand partner. I came up with the word baby brand partner because everybody starts out new at one time. And you see all the success stories that came across the stage. Every one of them one day started new in Nerium. They never sold a product. They never recruited anybody. They didn't understand anything about the business. And I've always found that when somebody starts in a business like this, it takes about 90 days to just actually figure out what you got into. You know, just what happened, okay? And it takes about a year to understand it. That's how it should be. And it takes about 2 years to start getting good at it. So the first thing I'd like to share with you is give yourself some time to succeed. Don't beat yourself up. You know, it's great that we have some people came across the stage that have achieved a lot of success in a hurry. That's neat, because that shows you potential. You know, what you wouldn't want is that nobody's ever been successful, okay? But every person is going to have their journey, and the journey for every one of you is going to be a little bit different than the journey for somebody else. And the reality is, if it took somebody this period of time, it took you this period of time, who cares? You know, when you become a national marketing director in this company, in the United States, it puts you in the upper 5 percentile of income, okay, as a national marketing director. I don't know what the statistics are down here in Mexico, but I guarantee you they're up there in the top percentages, okay, that income. So you always you got to ask yourself, what have you done for the last 5 or 10 years that may have done that for you? So, you know, if you were okay with the last 5 or 10 years, then give yourself a chance for the next 5 or 10 years. And so, what if it took you 10 years to get there? Would it be worth it? I mean, my answer is I think it'd be worth it. So the first thing I want to say to every one of you is give yourself a chance. Just take time. Don't beat yourself up. Don't compare yourself to other people, okay? It's a journey. The destiny, I quite honestly believe the journey to get from where you're at to where you want to become in Miriam is going to be more valuable than the destination when you get there, okay? And the things you want to achieve, because I guarantee you, from you to get to here to there, you're going to grow. The person you're going to become along the way is going to be more valuable than any money that you make along the way. I really believe that from everything. And that's why this company spends so much time focusing on people as much as we spent focusing on the product and the comp plan. And so, you know, I've always believed that back in the United States there was a great philosopher in our country named Benjamin Franklin, and he's considered one of the top maybe 50 minds of all time in the world, and he's a great philosopher. And, you know, philosophy is what I believe in. Philosophy is what you know and how you hold it and how it affects what you do. Okay, your philosophy drives everything. And if you have good philosophies, it creates the right attitude. If you have the right attitude, it creates the right actions. Okay, if you have the right actions, it creates the right results. Have the right results, you get the lifestyle. And so what you find out is the philosophy and attitude is just as important as how to do the business, okay? And what Benjamin Franklin said, he said, if I had 4 hours to chop down a tree, I spend 3 of those hours sharpening my axe, okay? And 1 hour chopping the tree. What he's saying is I'd spend more time working on me than I would working on it. What that means is the hows are not as important as how you do the hows, okay? And there's a journey, and everybody's got to go through that journey, and that's why I've always been fanatical about books. I just believe, you know, if somebody spent their lifetime, you know, wasted their life or invested their life learning something, and they wrote it in a book, why would I spend my lifetime learning it when I could read the book? And so, you know, my life has always been about reading books, listening to tapes, associated with positive people, going to events like this, and because what that does is it forms your philosophy. It's everything you know, how you hold it, how it affects what you do. You get good philosophies from the books you read, tapes you listen to, the people you associate with, the events like this you attend. You get a good philosophy, all of a sudden you get a good attitude. That's the how you do the hows, and then the actions start to work, okay? So the point I'm trying to get across is every person in this room, you're in a different journey there. And so that when you see somebody's moved maybe faster than you, they maybe have worked on that part, okay? They maybe have been sharpening their axe a little bit longer, okay? But it doesn't mean you can't sharpen your axe. But, but what people do is they come in and they keep on hitting the tree with the same old dull axe. And so it's just going to be just as important as you work on you as you work on the business, okay? Not that there's anything wrong with you, okay? But there's just something enlightening about people when they start, I start evolving. I call it personal development. That's one of the things I've taught ever since I've been in this industry. I've asked people to do one thing: read 10 pages of a good book a day. 10 pages. Now, anybody here can read 10 pages. If you can't read, there's somebody on this earth who loves you enough to read to you, okay? And so 10 pages of a good book a day. That doesn't take much time. That's easy to do. It's just as easy not to do it, okay? And the thing is, though, if you read 10 pages of a good book a day, in a year, that's 3,650 pages. That's about 12 books. 12 books, okay? Now, you've got to be reading the right books. You can't be reading the wrong books, okay? But if you read 12 good books, it's going to change your philosophy. It's going to change your attitude. And it'll change how you do your hows. It will sharpen your axe, okay? So realize, everybody comes to this business. You all have the same opportunity. Every one of you. But it's going to be what you do with the opportunity. And I'm just telling you, it's not going to be as much about how you do it. It's going to be how you do the hows. And so as we go along, I'll be talking more about that. We have in Miriam, one of the things we got going for you that I think, excuse me, is really neat is we have a system that has been, that we call our Miriam rhythm. We have a system that has been birthed out of a lot of experience. It's not something that we philosophize. It's not something that we think works. It's something that we know works. And it comes from having done it ourselves. There's not one thing we ask you to do that I promise you I have not done somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 times, okay? I have done this business all over the world, and I've set every seat you're going to sit in, every situation you're going to run into, I've done it at one time or another. Many times, okay? And one of the things I've really learned in this business is the key to success is to really melt it down to simple little things that brand new people can do. Because no matter how big your group gets, okay, no matter how big this company gets, I don't care how large we get, all the time, 80 to 90% of your business, your organization, or not 89% of the business in our organization, or in our company, will come from people who are new to the company, baby brand partners. And you got to get who a baby brand partner is. There's somebody who probably has a job, they have a family, they have other endeavors in their life, okay? They have other things going on, and they see Miriam, and they start, they start dreaming and believing maybe this could be for them. They step in, they're scared. They're at their highest level of anxiety, right? Because they're new. And they're at their lowest level of knowledge, right? That's not good. Anxiety here, knowledge here, that's bad, okay? And what you want to do is bring knowledge up and anxiety down. And that's why most people, when they get in, if you're not with them through that process, they'll get in for a while and they'll leave. They'll quit because the biggest challenge most people have, and this is why reading the books and all that is important, is the biggest challenge you have is your negative subconscious brain. I'm not going to sit here and preach on this much, but you really got to understand this. 90% of your brain is your subconscious, okay? And it drives your conscious brain. And your subconscious brain has no rules. It will listen to anything. Whatever comes at it until you tell it what you want, have right philosophies for it, okay? And so the subconscious brain is attracted to negative. We're naturally wired negatively. Do you understand that? It was born like 150,000 years ago in the plains of Africa. Our brain was wired to look for the lion because it could kill you, or look for the other tribe because they could kill you. You are hardwired to negative, okay? And it's only been the last few thousand years where you didn't have to start worrying about that as much. So you're wired negatively, and the media has reinforced it. You understand, when the TV came out back in the 1950s, TV was expected to be the thing that liberated the little person. Because finally, everyone's going to have access to information and training and knowledge. But what happened, it got taken over by media. And what they do is they prey on negativity. And what they do, they feed you negative stuff. Okay? So if you don't get that, you will be negative. People tell me I'm one with the world, and I go, you're negative. Because you can't help it. If you go to a checkout stand at a grocery store, and you look to your left, you see all those magazines, right? Have you seen all those magazines at the grocery store? Is there one magazine in there that you need? Is there one piece of information there that's good for you? There's not. So you don't have to seek out negativity. It's in abundance. It's everywhere. You wake up, it's just sitting there waiting for you. But if you want positive, you have to consciously, with determination and willpower and effort, seek it out. And that's what separates people from the successful people from the unsuccessful people. Successful people just do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. I have been really, really, really fortunate in this industry to have had huge success. And when people talk to me about how that happened, I always said I worked more on the people than I worked on the business. Okay, I sharpened the axe more than I hit with the axe. Because you understand, most people, when they come into this business, I got something in my mouth. Ever had that? I ate something and it's bouncing around my mouth the last 2 minutes talking to you. I'm going, will you go down my throat or something? Okay. It's gone. Okay, so. But the point I'm trying to get across from my experience, and I'm trying to get this through you, as you can this company will be here for you 10 years from now. It'll be here for you 15 years from now. But you're going to probably have your journey of sharpening your axe to make it work. It's not going to be the house, it's going to be the house. Now, we have an 8-point system. We have a thing we call the new brand partner training that you go in your back office and you watch, okay? In the 8-point system, new brand partner training, there's pretty much everything you need to know to be successful in this business. Now, there's not one thing in the new brand partner training, there's not one thing in the 8-point system that you can't do. You might not be very good at it at first, but you can do it, okay? What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to just do it over and over and over with consistency and persistency until you get good at it. And that's actually why I wrote the book, The Slight Edge, a long time ago. I'm not an author. I never wanted to be an author. I'm not a speaker. I've never wanted to be a speaker. But I used to have these organizations, these big organizations like you guys are going to build, okay? And it really hurt me because I would see people that I knew they could do the activities to be successful. I knew they could do them. But they weren't doing them. And I was trying to find a philosophy. Again, a philosophy is how you do the hows. That would get them to do these little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. Like, one of the things we ask you to do is do 2 exposures a day. Share the opportunity or the product with 2 people a day. Can everybody do that? You can have a job, you can have a family, you can have a very complicated, busy life, but you can share 2 people a day. That's something that's very easy to do, okay? So I was trying to get people to understand why doing 2 exposures, if you did them consistently and persistently over a long enough period of time, how the compounded effect would kick in and you'd have success. And so I started writing the book, The Slight Edge. And I didn't write a book, I read a manuscript. It was like a manual. And I gave it out to all my distributors. And I kept on teaching that successful people do the little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. And I just did them over and over and over and over and over and over and over, consistency, persisting long enough till the compound effect kicked in and they had success. It was a philosophy. You see, understand that. Because here's the thing in this business, it's a sucker bet. If you go out there and you do 2 exposures tomorrow, do you succeed in therein tomorrow? No. Nope. And if you go out tomorrow and you don't do 2 exposures, do you fail in therein tomorrow? No. The difference between doing it and not doing it is so subtle, it doesn't matter. So you don't think it matters. See, one's a simple discipline, one's a simple error in judgment. The difference between doing the right activity and not doing the right activity is so subtle and so insignificant in the moment that you think it doesn't matter. But what successful people understand, what the really successful people I have found understand, is that there's only one thing you have in life, and that is the moment. You get that. Now, you might want to be a national marketing director, and it's sitting way out there, right? Change your entire life. Travel the world with us. You'll have all the great things. But the only way you get there is in the moment. And the moment is insignificant and doesn't matter. This is the sucker bet. You got to get this. Because it does matter. That 2 exposures today, then 2 here, then 2 here, and 2 here. All of a sudden, compound effect kicks in, and all of a sudden other people in your organization start doing the same thing. Now you're doing your 2 exposures, now you get 10 other people doing 2 exposures, they're doing their 20, you're doing your 2, that's 22, it grows. 100 people start doing it, okay? But it won't happen if you won't do it. Nobody will go down a road farther than the road that you've traveled. You can't ask people to travel further down a road than you have not traveled, okay? So it's not about telling other people what to do, it's about leading people by example of what you do. So a slide edge, the whole design of the slide edge was to get the people to do the little, thank you, it was get people to do the little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. Just do them over and over and over and over and over, consistency and persistency, over a long enough period of time to have success. So the point I'm trying to get across to you here is, every one of you here, if you go watch our new brand partner training in the back office, if you go and look at the 8-point system that it teaches you how to do, please tell me there's one thing in there that you can't do. Because I promise you, there's not one thing in there you can't do. Every single thing in there is easy to do. They're just as easy not to do. Every one of them, if you do them perfectly, you don't succeed in that moment from what your goals are. And every one of them, if you don't do them, you don't fail according to your goal. The difference between doing them and not doing them is insignificant. The problem in this business, though, is you have a gift of choice. So when you have a job, you don't decide whether you show up or not show up. If you're in a business, you don't decide whether to show up or not show up. So what you got to have to learn how to do is you're going to have to treat this like a business, and it's going to come from you. It's not going to come from somebody else telling you what to do. See, in franchising, the rule of thumb in franchising is if you want to make, if you have to invest 5 times more than you want to make. So I'm going to convert to pesos here. Let's just say you wanted to make 1 million pesos, okay? That'd be roughly 100,000, but 1 million pesos a year, right? If you want to make 1 million pesos in a franchise, you have to invest 5 million pesos. That's the rule of thumb, okay? Now, if you invested 5 million pesos, if you had them, would you show up every single day? Would you do the little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them? And would you just do them over and over? Would you make those hamburgers and flip those fries forever? Right? And they'll tell you in franchising it takes you 5 years to get your money back, maybe. But guess what they get with that investment? They don't have to have this talk with you. So when you buy that franchise, they don't have to say, open the door to your store every single day. You go, heck yeah, open the door. You got all my money, I'm opening the door. But see here, Nerium is a way bigger opportunity than any franchise you could buy for 5 million pesos. But if you work Nerium for the next 5 years, as hard as somebody who bought a franchise for that kind of money, and you worked as hard as they did, I guarantee you'd have way more than they have 5 years from now. And guess what would happen to them at the end of their 5th year? They'd have to work just as hard as they did in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Guess where you would be? You would have not only a better income, but you'd have time and freedom. Something they'll never have, because they're stuck to the walls, the inventory, the 13 screaming teenagers, and everything connected to it, okay? So the point I'm trying to get across is, what you're going to have to do is find the philosophy, the discipline in your own head to every day do the little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them, and just do them over and over and over and over and over and over and over long enough till the compound effect kicks in. And if you do that, other people are going to start doing the same thing. You can't step back and tell people to do something you're not doing. You can't expect people to travel a road that you have not traveled. That right there is the whole success ingredient or secret to this business. It's not, there's nothing magical. There's not one thing we do that you can't do. It's whether you'll do it consistently, persistently over a long enough period of time. And here's the thing you'll find out. If I take y'all, the national marketing directors down in the United States and Canada now here, what you'll find out if you interviewed them, okay? Literally, probably 90% plus of the things they did to be successful, they did when nobody else was watching. Nobody else was watching, okay? They held themselves accountable to themselves. So when you have a job, you're held accountable by the company, right? By a franchise, you're held accountable by the model and the investment. You're in here, there's only one person who can hold you accountable, and it's you. And understand these little things that you do that seem to make no difference at all after doing them, 90% of them you do when nobody else is watching. So you're going to have integrity. Integrity is what you do when nobody else is watching. You're going to have to be willing to do these little things that seem to not matter when nobody else is watching. See, it's real easy to sit there in a moment and you were saying do the 2 exposures a day or do a real results party, read 10 pages of a good book, these little things that we do, okay? It's really easy to sit there and go, you know what, I'm tired. I'm just not going to do them. Because it really doesn't matter. And you're right. It really doesn't matter in the moment. And nobody's watching. Nobody's watching, so who cares? And you're right. Nobody's watching, nobody's going to tell on you. And you're 100% right, but you killed yourself. See, it's in that moment right there, in that moment where you're sitting and looking at the little things that we do, and you're deciding whether to do them or not do them, and nobody's watching you, that's when you find out who you are. That's right when you find out who you really, really, really are. Okay? Are you really a person operating out of integrity? Are you really a person that wants it? Are you really a person that's willing to do what's necessary? Are you really a person who does what other people are not willing to do? Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Okay? It's in that moment. And you're going to string those moments together. And you're going to have times you don't do it. I get that. Okay? The goal is to have way more times you do it than the few times you don't do it. Okay? It's that simple. And so when you get that, this business becomes very clear to you. Okay? So if I was in your shoes, especially new people, I'm sitting here watching this Miriam show up here today. Okay? And we're talking global, we're talking all this stuff. And you're saying, I'm just trying to make a little bit of extra money, right? You know, what's this global stuff in Korea? I don't know a Korean. I agree, okay? What you need to understand, though, is we're building this global model that you're going to have access to. And we're the first company to come along. I'm not here. Tell them hi. But we really are trying to build this so you guys can go with us to follow the rhythm, okay? But here's how you get to leverage us as we go to 1 billion people, 2 billion people, 3 billion people, as we go out into 10 languages, as we built this rhythm that, you know, that's seamless. You got to hold down home court. The only way you're going to leverage all that is win in your backyard. So how do I leverage everything Miriam's going to do over the next 10 years? I do the 8 points every single day. That's what you do. The 8-point system, trained by the new brand partner training. Easy to do, easy not to do. If you do the 8 points a day, you don't succeed. If you don't do the 8 points a day, you don't fail. They're insignificant in the moment. You do most of them, most of the time, with nobody else is watching you. So you have to hold yourself accountable. But if you'll do that, all of a sudden you'll start building this organization locally. And by the nature of life, because people know people who know people, I built my entire direct sales life out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Okay, Albuquerque is a little town in New Mexico. Like I told you about earlier, it's basically a Spanish town, Spanish and the Indians, okay? And right there, I had 2 companies I was trying to build, and I was doing network marketing on the side. But in Albuquerque, I just got really good at what I did doing. And Albuquerque led me to El Paso, it led me over to Las Cruces, and led me to different cities. Eventually built me a national organization, which led me to an international organization, okay? But the only way I got that is I held down home court. See, wherever you live is your hub. That's your hub, like a bicycle wheel. It has a hub, it has spokes. You've got to have the hub. If you don't have the hub, I don't care what happens out here. It all begins at home court. So when you see all this grandiose stuff going on up here, don't get lost in it. Okay, don't get lost in, God, they're going to all these countries. What am I going to do? I don't know how to do that. You don't need to understand that. Okay? You need to win right here in the moment. Okay? And give yourself time to understand this. Remember, it's going to take you 90 days to figure out what the heck you got yourself into. Okay? With Nerium, you got yourself into one heck of a good thing. Okay? Really a quality company. Okay? I can promise that. It's going to take you about a year. It's going to take about a year to get what I'm talking to you about. Just go, I get it now. You know how many people come up to me all the time and go, I now get what you've been saying after 2 years, okay? It'll take you about 2 years to start getting okay with it. Isn't that okay? If you invested 5 million pesos, that's compared to see, it's 100,000. You got to invest $500,000 in America to make $100,000 in a franchise. So that would be roughly, I'm just using 10 as the multiple. I think it's 13 now. Okay. Let's just round it off at 10, okay? And so, but if you did that, okay, you would invest the time. You know, you got in, you expect it to take you 9 days to figure out what you're doing. You expect it to take about a year to get understanding. You expect it to take about 2 years to get good at it, and then you start making things happen. So there's a natural harmony in life. You plant seeds, right? Then you cultivate, and then you harvest. You don't just jump into Nerium or any business and plant seeds and then harvest. The problem in the direct sales industry, the reason so many people have been injured in this industry, the reason we have such a great opportunity, because we're not going to do it the way the other companies have done, okay, is we don't sell Quantum Leap here. We sell the truth. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to plant seeds. You have to cultivate. That means you're going to have to work on yourself. It's going to take time. The harvest is the easy part. When people tell you can plant seeds and then harvest, you need to run as fast as you can, okay? Let me give you some good examples. I can show you how to make a lot of money going from planting seeds to harvesting. Rob a bank. Quantum Leap. I show you how you feel good. Do drugs. Or you can be healthy, eat good foods, live a quality life. That's called cultivating, okay? Anytime somebody talks to you about Quantum Leap, you need to run as fast as you can. As fast as you can, okay? You understand, every day you're going to have choices put in front of you. Every day. All these things are going to come at you. And you're going to build your life based upon the choices you make. And every choice you make either builds your dream or builds somebody else's dream. And the challenge you're going to have is going to be a whole lot of people going to try and distract you by trying to get you to build their dream by promising you Quantum Leap. The reason the direct sales industry has such a black eye. Okay? We're not going to play that game. We're going to do it right. We're going to have principles. We're going to have values. We're going to have integrity. We're going to stand right up here in front of you, and I'm going to tell you there's no magic to the top. I'm going to tell you it's going to be every single day a grind. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. But it's going to be something you have to do over and 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 over the way it's supposed to be. You're going to have to plant your seeds. You're going to have to cultivate for a long period of time. But I guarantee you, when you get there, there'll be a harvest. Because as a company, we're going to make sure we're there for you to harvest. We're not going to let people do that Quantum Leap stuff to you. So when you see these stories that in your mind look like Quantum Leap, okay, somebody's moved faster than you, you understand they probably invested themselves earlier doing in this space, okay? Doesn't matter what happened to there. For you, you need to see, wow, there's potential upside. So if you've got a job and the upside just here, that's not good, right? Because that means that's all you can go. I want to get into something where there's people in the business way, way, way up there. Because that means I have potential to get way, way up there, right? Okay, so with that said, when I talk about giving yourself a chance, understand every one of you right now is the worst you'll ever be in Nerium. You understand that? Woo! You're terrible right now. You're the worst you'll ever be. I mean, you can't get any worse. Okay? And it's going to be really hard for you to get up tomorrow and be worse than you are today. It's almost impossible. Okay? You understand that? But you're not where you want to be right now. So how are you going to go from high anxiety, low knowledge, reverse those, and get to know the information? What you're going to do, I'm going to give you some examples, like the new brand partner training. You go in the back office, and you listen to new brand partner training, as if you invested into a franchise. If I had a franchise, you'd have your notepad out, you'd be taking notes, right? And you're going to listen to that and you're going to absorb it. That's called learned knowledge. You're going to be getting learned knowledge from the new brand partner training, the CDs, these kind of things. You're also going to be getting learned knowledge on the other side, which is about you, sharpen the axe. You're going to be reading the books, listening to tapes about your philosophy, okay? So that's learned knowledge. Now you turn around, you take that learned knowledge and you go out and you apply it. That's called activity knowledge. Taking what you learned and doing it. This is the hardest gap to ever go from, okay? To go from learning something to doing it. And when you do it, you are going to be so bad at it, right? Because you're first time. Nobody's good the first time. You're not supposed to be. You're planting seeds, you're cultivating, you're going to harvest, okay? And you're going to go out and do it, and you're going to probably fail, right? But then what you do is you've done that, you do learn knowledge, you go out and do the activity that you learn, right? That's what you do in anything else in the world that works. Then you go back, and here's the secret. You go right back to the same learned knowledge, and you listen to it again. And because of the activities out there that you experience, you'll hear it differently. I promise you that. Listen to the new brand partner training one day, and then go out and do the activity for a week, okay? And you'll probably be miserable at it. And then go back and listen to the exact same training that you heard 1 week ago, and it'll be totally different because of what you experienced out here. And you'll hear it differently the second time, and you'll go out there and you'll be better the second time. And you go right back to it the third time, and you listen to it the third week. You go right back out and you do it. That's how it works. Learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge. They work their way up. You can't go from the bottom to the top through learn knowledge. And you really can't go to the bottom to the top through just activity knowledge. They have to work together, okay? So there's not a lot you need to know, but don't think because I listened to the new brand partner training once that you're trained. You see, when you think about a job you have, or a franchise you have, what do they have built in? They have built-in repetition, right? Repetition. You do the same thing over and over and over, and it gets better. You're going to have to build that into your business. So I keep on telling you, everything we do is easy to do. Every one of you can listen to the new brand partner training. And in new brand partner training, it explains how to do the 8 points. And every one of you can do them. So you're going to listen to it, understand the best you can the first time. You're going to go out here and you're going to do it, and you're really, really going to be bad at it, because that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it is in everything. Who here was great the day you started anything? That's just how life works, right? Then you're going to go back to the exact same learned knowledge, just like you would if you bought a franchise. You do the same. You bought a franchise. You keep changing your business every week. You do the same old boring thing, right? So you come back and you study it again. You go back up. I'm telling you, you do that until you're as successful as you want to be. That's what we do. What we do is easy to do. It's easy not to do. What we do, if you do it, you don't succeed. If you don't do it, you don't fail. They're insignificant in the moment. But you're going to have to learn how to do them over and over and over. And I'm telling you, you've got to learn how to marry learn knowledge and activity knowledge. So you take information in, you go apply it. You come back to the same information, you take it in, it sounds different, then you go apply it. Come back to the same information, you listen to it again, then you go out and apply it. If you'll do that, I promise you here, there's not a person here, if you did that over the next 90 days, you'll be so good at Miriam that you can have anything you want out of Miriam. Okay? So here's how it works. Learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge. Then you do it long enough, till all of a sudden you get it. There's all of a sudden something changes in you, the cadence in you, the way you walk. You get Miriam all of a sudden. You get how to share the product. You get how to share the opportunity. You just get it, okay? Because you went up and down, you learned the business. And all of a sudden, people start looking up to you. They start going, hey, she gets it. I'm going to listen to her. That's called you become worthy of being modeled. You got to learn knowledge and activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge, long enough until you become worthy of being modeled. Once you become worthy of being modeled, where people start looking at you like they know you know, because they can tell you've done it, okay? Then you become the teacher. They start listening to you. And then your business explodes. That's how you plant seeds, cultivate, and all of a sudden it takes off. Okay? You don't go from learn knowledge to teacher. That's quantum leap stuff again. Okay? You go from learn knowledge to activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge. That's the cultivating process. Learn knowledge, activity knowledge, learn knowledge, activity knowledge long enough to become worthy of being modeled. You become the teacher, and it takes off because people start now doing the same thing you're doing, and now the business starts to duplicate. But if you think the business starts duplicating just because you learned it, no. Or just because you do it over and over, no. You've got to marry those two. You get that? If you do the learn knowledge activities knowledge long enough until people start thinking you're worthy of being modeled, they start looking at you as the lead, then you become the teacher. You teach by what? Example. It just takes off for you. Okay? So if I could leave you some ideas, just understand that what successful people do, and I've said this before, they do what unsuccessful people don't want to do. And they just do these little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them. They just do them over and over and over with consistency and persistency long enough from the work. There's a few other things I want to add to that, and I've got some stories to go with it. It was really interesting because my daughter, when she was in high school, she was straight A's. Really good student, okay? And when she was in high school, she picked out a really good university to go to. And she got accepted. So went to the orientation at that university, and the dean of students comes out. The dean of students says, all of our incoming freshmen are straight A's. All of them graded in the top 10% of what we call the SAT, which is the testing thing to see if you're going to get into school. And says, so these are the best of the best. And so I went out to dinner with my daughter that night, and she looked at me horrified. Like, what am I going to do? Because she went from being the best to average in one presentation by that dean of students, okay? She went from being, Mrs. the smartest in class to average, okay? And she sat there really horrified. What am I going to do? And I go, and I had the benefit of life on my side. I had experienced life, okay? So I said to her, this is going to be so easy to beat. She goes, what do you mean? I go, first of all, just show up to class. That's it. Show up to every class. And you'll beat half of them. She goes, what do you mean? I go, trust me. Just show up to every single class. 3 weeks later, we're on the phone. She goes, Dad, we're 3 weeks in. They started out with 200 kids in the class. We're down to 80. We haven't even taken a test yet. It's not that we're down to 80. They weren't coming to class. Because guess what happened? The best minds, these are all straight A's. These are the best minds in America, okay? They were given the dignity of choice. They had left structure. They no longer had their parents giving them structure. They were given freedom like you have now in this business, okay? And they didn't use it. You know why? Because they had the wrong philosophy. It's not because they couldn't do it. They all have the same school, the same teachers, the same books, the same everything. They're all just as smart as each other. But Amber had a simple little philosophy. First one was just show up all the time. And she did that, and that beat half of them. So my one thing I'm going to leave with you is show up. Show up and learn knowledge, show up in activity knowledge, show up at the events, show up. Okay? Don't go into a witness protection plan as soon as you get in. Okay? That's what people do. It drives you crazy, doesn't it? Okay, so you want to show up. Now, number two, I said, be consistent. I said, every day study for 2 hours a day. And she was joining a sorority, and I actually happened to be in a fraternity in my days, okay? And I said, I know what goes on at sorority and fraternity stuff. And I said, God, please don't punish me for what I did when I was in fraternity with my daughter. It wasn't her fault. She wasn't there. No fair, okay? But the reality is, I said, study for 2 hours a day before you go back to sorority, and then go do all the crazy cuckoo things you guys do in college. I just don't want to hear it. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear about it, okay? And so I just said, show up and study consistently. I just said, if you'll do that, honey, I promise you, you'll wipe these kids out. She graduated on time, cum laude, the top of one of the best business schools in America. Only thing she had was a philosophy. She wasn't smarter. She wasn't better. The hows were different for her. She had a simple philosophy: show up consistently. So I'm saying, if you want, in this business, if I can leave you 2 things, show up consistently. It will take care of itself. I don't care how bad you are, you'll eventually get okay. Get that? There's just a natural progress. You know, you're going to have to plant your seeds, you're going to have to cultivate your harvest. The third thing you got to be able to do is you got to show up consistently with a good attitude. Can't show up with a negative attitude. Attitude's everything. Now, how do you get a good attitude? The books you read, tapes you listen to, but the biggest one is the people you associate with. Laws of association. You are the combined average of the 5 people you associate with the most. If your 5 number 1 people you hang with are negative, you're in trouble. Okay? When Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, it took him, this was written over 60 years ago, it took him 20 years. He interviewed the 500 most successful people on this earth. 20 years he interviewed the 500 most successful people on this earth. He found the 13 things they have in common. But he said the number 1 reason why people fail in life, this is 20 years of interviewing the 500 most successful people, is they listen to their friends, family, and neighbors. Okay? So I'm telling you, show up consistently with a good attitude, you're going to have to watch what's around you. Okay? The negative subconscious, these people will just pour into you. So you got to show up consistently with a good attitude. Matter of fact, when Napoleon Hill wrote that book, he goes through the 13 things that you have to have to be successful. I'll go to the first 2 a little while. But the third one, he said, was you have to read your goals out loud to yourself twice a day. Now, these are the most successful people on this earth, like Henry Ford, Dale Carnegie, very intelligent people, okay? And on average, across the board, those people twice a day would read out loud to themselves what they wanted to accomplish. Now, why do you think they did that? Because they couldn't remember? Oh, I'm trying to build a car? No. What they understood was the power of the subconscious brain. That this machine is sitting there. It's a machine. More powerful than any computer will ever be built. God gave you this amazing machine. Okay? But if you don't tell it what you want, it listens to everything. But as soon as you tell it what you want, it blocks what doesn't feed that, and it only lets in what feeds that. So they knew the power of auto-suggestion. Saying what they want. Trying to say they understood that because that created the right attitude. So you show up consistently with a good attitude, but if you think you're going to have a good attitude just going, I'm just one with the world, you're not going to. You're going to have to focus on the books you read, focus on the tapes you listen to, focus on the people you associate with. There's people you spend 2 days with now, you need to take it down to 2 hours. Okay? There's probably some people you spend 2 hours with, you need to take it down to 2 minutes. There's some people you spend 2 minutes with, you need to get rid of them. Okay? You need to weed your garden. I'm not trying to be negative. But you can't be positive around a bunch of negative people. You can't be an eagle with a bunch of ducks. You just can't do it. Okay? That's the way it works. Okay? So show up consistently with a positive attitude. Here's the most amazing thing. I'm really into health. I study health a lot. And I study it like crazy. And there's this one big medical journal report, and I don't buy into most medical journals because I think they're a scam too. But this one was really good stuff. And they studied the 25 longest living civilizations on this earth. Okay? But the highest percentage of people lived over 100 years old. And they weren't connected by geographic areas on this earth. They weren't connected by DNA. They weren't connected by race. They weren't connected by religion. They weren't connected by anything. There were 25 different civilizations on this earth that had the highest percentage of people living over 100 years old. And they studied them, and they found the 4 things they have in common. Okay? So it's kind of neat to know those 4 things. But the number one thing that determines how long you live, way greater than anything else, is a positive outlook on life. Attitude. Okay? Attitude. It's everything. And guess what attitude is? It's something you can control. Nobody else controls it. You can control that. You're given this power of attitude. And And that's why the books and the tapes and associations and the events are so important. That's why we come together like that, okay? So show up consistently with a good attitude. This is where when Benjamin Franklin said, I'm going to sharpen my axe. Work on that, okay? Show up consistently with good attitude over a long period of time. I need to go into that. You buy a franchise, how long you work? As long as you got to work, okay? I always like to say, how big does a tree grow? As big as it can, right? You ever see a tree quit trying as big as it can? Another tree starts putting shade on it, it just turns, starts growing. What people do though, they just kind of grow and then they just quit. You're going to have to put in the time, you're going to have to put in the effort, you're going to have to show up consistently with good attitude, but like a tree, you just got to keep going and going. There's going to be time that you're going to have to put in, or a period of time. Next thing you got to do, show up consistently with a good attitude, a long period of time. You got to drive it, and just driving that machine with desire and faith. Napoleon Hill wrote the book, Think and Grow Rich. Studied the 500 most successful people and broke it down to 13 things. Number 3, remember, was auto-suggestion. Number 1 was they had desire. They had burning desire. Desire is what gets you up early and keeps you up late. Desire is what gets you to do things that other people are not willing to do. Desire is what gets you through the problems that stop other people. You can determine the success of a person by the size of the problems they solve. If you run from problems, you'll never be successful. You've got to embrace them. It's just the way it is. Okay? There's a price to pay for success. There's a price to pay for everything in life, and that's the price. And you're going to have desire, burning desire. You call it white, hot, burning desire. It's what gets you up early and keeps you up late, gets you to do things that other people will not want to do. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. So you're going to have to show up consistently with a good attitude over a long period of time with desire. Desire is what drives that. And he said also with faith. You got to believe what you're doing will achieve what you desire. So if you desire this, but you don't have faith what you're doing can get you there, there's a disconnect between the two, then you won't do the activity. There can't be an incongruency between your desire and your faith. They've got to be congruent, okay? You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your vehicle that it can achieve what you desire. So you show up consistently with good attitude over a long period of time, driven by desire and faith. Next one is you're going to have to pay a price. There's just a price to pay for success. You know, we talk about recruiting. We talk about selling a product. That's the price. There's a price. There might be things you don't like to do. I don't care. You might hate it. Who cares? There's a price. There's a price in everything. You guys, who cares? It's not a big deal. You know what we do? We worry about stuff that never happens. 95% of stuff you worry about never even happens. And you worry about what other people think, and nobody else really cares about what you're doing. I've got to tell this story. We'll get out here on time, but I want to tell this story. When I got out of college, I got really lucky and got hired by one of the top 100 companies in the world, Texas Instruments. And they put me out there in sales. And I go, sales? Me sell? I couldn't sell nothing, okay? And I was paranoid. I thought, that's it. I'm going to fail in life. I don't know how to sell, but I was going to have to learn how to sell for them to move me up management. And I was going to go on my first sales call, and I was freaking out. You know, I was going to have to go talk to somebody about something. I was really uncomfortable. Was really basically wanting to quit and go back to school. Okay? You know, where you're safe. And like God has done for me so many times, put in front of me what I needed to hear at that moment. Okay? And I was reading an article. The article had nothing to do with sales, but this article was about funerals. And this article said, at the average funeral, on average, 10 people cry. And I thought, really? All these things I do and all these things I worry about and all the things I'm concerned what you think about me, and at my funeral, 10 of you are going to cry? You know? And then I kept reading it and it said, and when you go to your burial, if it rains, half of them don't go to the burial. I go, you mean the weather is more important than how I live my life? I remember sitting there looking at that and I go, I don't give a hell what people think anymore. You know? They're not going to come to, if they're not going to even cry my funeral, they're not going to come to my burial if it's raining. Why do I worry a whole life about what they think? Okay? So don't worry about it. I'm serious. The things you worry about it. Because you're going to get this learned knowledge, and you're going to go over here to try to do this activity knowledge, and you're going to think, oh, what are they going to think? Who cares? They're not going to even cry at your funeral, and you care? And if it's raining, they're going to zip right out of the line and be gone. Do you care? I'm okay. I'm okay. Fine. Thank you, sweetheart. But that liberated me. It liberated me. I just said, and I just bowled over people. Because I just learned, you're not. But think about that. Okay? So there's a price you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to go out and go and do some of these things that you don't like to do. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. There's a price. Okay? There's a price. It's not a big price. Everything we're asking you to do, you can do. It's not that we're asking you to do something you can't do. Remember, the 8-point system, there's not a thing you can't do there. But there's a price. And that's what I already touched on. Integrity. You just got to do the things when nobody else is watching. I would suggest every one of you start reading 10 pages of a good book a day. And you read your, think about this though, this is when I saw this industry, I freaked out. I fell in love with it because I had learned through life to do my things, okay? But I'd never found a model where I could geometrically grow my thing. What I mean by that, if I read 10 pages of a good book a day, that was 3,650 pages a year. That was about 12 books. That was me. But all of a sudden I got 10 other people doing it, okay? Then think about it, they're doing, that's 10, that's 120,000 pages a year. But I only had to do my 12. All of a sudden I was getting geometric of compounding. I started going, this is powerful stuff. And those 10 got a 10, that was 100. So I had 100 people read 12,000 pages. That's how many pages being read on my behalf. If I did 2 exposures a day for a year, let's just say I did 250 days a year, that's 500 exposures a year. But if I go get 5 other people, that's 2,500 plus my 500, right? And they go out and get their 10, all of a sudden there's that. And I started realizing, wow, this geometric thing is neat. But I had to be willing to do it myself. And the point I'm trying to get across is, you're going to come home late at night. And you're going to be tired. And there's that book sitting there that you said you're going to read. You finally said, I'm in. I've woken up. I found my vehicle. I got desire. I got faith. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to have a good attitude. I'm going to do a long period of time. I'm willing to pay the price. I'm going to do this thing. You walk home, and you're tired, and there's that book. 10 pages. And you go, really? I've been doing this 10-page thing for about a year now. Nothing's really happened yet. Okay? And if I don't read those 10 pages a day, it ain't going to matter. And you're right. If I read those 10 pages a day, it ain't going to matter. And you're right. And nobody's watching, and you're right. That's when you're going to find out who you are. Right in that moment. You're going to find out who you are. Okay? The point I'm trying to get across, people, is you can do the activity here. Everyone of you can do it. It's going to be whether you're going to do these activities consistently and persistently with a good attitude over a long period of time, driven by desire and faith, willing to pay the price, and do it when nobody else is watching. If you'll do that, you can have everything you want. Isn't that cool? That's all there is between you and it. But let me tell you, along the way, it's crazy the stuff that's going to come at you. The negative people, remember what he said, friends, family, neighbors. The negative mind, cuckoo mind. There's a book I just finished, I've been telling everybody about a year ago, and a lot of people have read it now, called Untethered Soul. I always say the books you don't read can't help you. Does that make sense? Right? The books you don't read can't help you. Okay, so, The Untethered Soul is the most amazing book. It's about the subconscious brain. And it talks about the voice that we have in our head, not voice, voices. The multiple voices. In the first 60 pages of this book, I was laughing so hard because it's as if this person had been in my head my whole life and was describing every crazy conversation that goes on in my head. Okay? And basically, there's this thing called your negative subconscious that tries to talk you out of everything and tries to, when you wake up, starts telling you all the wrong things, you lay down in bed, it just never shuts up. Okay? And the thing I found when I started sharing that book with other people, they're all coming back to me going, was this person in my head? I started realizing, I guess we're all the same. We're all just crazy about voices in our head. Okay? It's true, that negative subconscious thing going on in your head. It never stops. Then he goes on and says, now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this body next to you. This imaginary body. We're going to take that voice out of you. We're going to put it in that body. And now that body comes to life and starts talking to you like it does in your head. It starts, you say left, it says right. You say up, it says down. No matter what you say, it goes a negative way, and it never shuts up 7/24. You would go, you're crazy. Get out of my life. I don't want to ever see you again. That's you. That's you. So the rest of the book is about taking that crazy you out, which we all have in us, put it back in us, and then quieting that voice. Because the louder that voice is, the less you can focus on what you've got to do. Point I'm trying to get across, people. You can do this business. Guarantee it. And what's going to stop you is not going to be what's out there. It's going to be what's in here. It really is. Okay? What is so cool about that is you don't control out there, but you control in here. See, you got that. It's yours. And here's the thing I'll promise you. This company is going to be here for you. Whatever that journey looks like for you, however long it takes you to get there, what that looks like, when you get there, we're going to be there. This is going to be a company, we're not passing through. This is not a game for us. We take this very, very seriously. This is not a company that's just going to be about products and comp plans. This is going to be a company that's going to be about purpose and meaning. This is a company that's going to give you the things you need to work on those things. The neatest thing about that is we're going to do it together. I've always believed in this thing, 2 minds creates a third more powerful mind. I've always believed in synergy, that a group of people can go to a place that you can't go to by yourself. So in a conversation with any person in this room, I can go to a place in a conversation I can't go to by myself. Us together collectively, we can all be more successful together than we can individually. The cool thing about this company is we're attracting beautiful people. I've said it backstage again. I walked out here, I don't know what to expect. My first time in Mexico City. I've stood out there for a while. I came over here. I purposely come out, hang out with people because I want to feel them. I've asked you to come over to the hotel tonight if you want, because I like to talk to people. And you guys are just as beautiful as the people in the United States and Canada. You really are cool people. We're attracting neat people. And you need each other. You're on a solo journey. This is a solo journey. You're going to do most things you're going to do, you're going to do by yourself. But you need each other because you charge each other up. Okay? Because out there it's crazy. So when you leave today, you leave this beautiful, warm bath where everybody's positive and got good energy and dreaming and thinking and achieving and all these things. Then you go out there and the cuckoos show up, right? Just like Napoleon Hill said, and they start raining on your parade. All over. But who cares? They're not going to cry at your funeral. They're not going to show up at your burial. Okay? So don't let them get you. What I'm trying to get across to people is we will hold up our end on a great company. And we're going to do it. We're going to give you a great company to be in. We're going to do everything we can to help you be a part of a group of people that collectively can become a better version of ourselves together. But again, it's going to come down to what you do with it. And I wish I could get into your head. If the point I want to get across, you can do this. You really can. But there's going to be a price. There's just going to be a price to pay. But you're going to have to show up. You have to show up consistently. You have to show up consistently with a good attitude. You have to do it for a long period of time. You got to be willing to pay the price. You're going to have to do it with desire and faith. And you have to do it with integrity. And you have to do it when nobody else is watching. Okay, if you do that, the world is yours. Okay, we love you guys. And bring Alfonso back out. God bless you.
Más fuerte. ¿Están de acuerdo con su filosofía? Para terminar, un par de sorpresas, un par de anuncios. ¿Ven lo que dice ahí? Ya vamos a tener Blitz Pack. Es algo que nos habían estado pidiendo. La verdad es de que la empresa siempre trata de esperar algo para lanzar los Blitz Packs en los diferentes mercados. Pero ya habíamos tenido varios comentarios diciendo necesitamos este paquete. ¿Ok? ¿Por qué? Porque la gente quiere compartir la crema. Entonces, no, ojo, les vamos a hacer saber, pongan atención por favor, para no tener luego al call center volviéndose loco y diciendo, Alfonso Todd me dijo que les vamos a avisar para cuando ya va a estar disponible. Ojo, Es cuestión de días, ¿ok? Pero se les va a hacer saber por medio de la página, ¿ok? Lo que sí queremos que vean es de que ya los tenemos listos, ahí está el precio, ya incluye IVA, obviamente, más el envío, pero ya lo tenemos. Entonces, en los próximos días les vamos a hacer saber cuándo ya va a estar disponible para la compra en su back office. Eso número uno, ¿ok? Eso, los estamos escuchando. La verdad es de que sí, cada vez que alguien pide algo y es de manera consistente, vamos, no la misma persona diciendo lo mismo, pero cuando todos ustedes piden algo, sí los escuchamos. Eso número uno. Y número dos, la ligera ventaja del libro ya viene en camino. Ya viene en camino, esperamos que nos llegue ya en estos días, en español, ¿sí? El libro en español. Entonces, para todas aquellas personas que van a querer que se les envíe, ojo, no estamos esperando el cambio, no queremos que nos envíen la versión en inglés y para enviarles nosotros la de español, no. O sea, simplemente les vamos a hacer, les vamos a avisar cuál va a ser la mecánica para hacerles llegar el libro, ¿de acuerdo? Entonces, digo, lo más seguro, ojo, hay que poner atención, es de que habrá que llamar al call center, pedir que se envíe el libro y listo, ¿de acuerdo? Pero les vamos a hacer saber por nuestros medios de comunicación cuál va a ser la mecánica, ¿ok? Pero sí les quería yo avisar porque era algo que teníamos pendiente, ¿sí? De que el libro en español ya viene en camino, ¿ok? Entonces, bueno, ya son dos cosas que teníamos pendientes para ustedes, ya cumplidas. Y bueno, nada más queda avisarles nuestro tour. Este es el primero en Cancún, nos toca el 11 de noviembre, es junta de oportunidad en el Ritz-Carlton, es de 7 de la noche a las 9, es de oportunidad. Ahí vamos a tener a Jeff Olson, Mark Smith, Dennis Windsor y su servidor. Luego nos vamos a Puerto Vallarta el día 13, también de oportunidad en el Hotel Hilton, de 7 a 9 de la noche. Ahí vamos a estar Mark Smith, Dennis Windsor y su servidor. Y luego nos vemos en Guadalajara para un regional en el Hotel Presidente Intercontinental a las 10 de la mañana. Jeff Olson, Mark Smith, Dennis Windsor, Roy Truitt y su servidor, ¿ok? Entonces va a estar buenísimo para que le avisen a la gente que por favor se registren. Y bueno, para todos los que quieran reunirse en el Hotel Intercontinental, vamos a estar ahí en un restaurante que se llama Entre Tanto, que está en la parte de abajo. Tiene un lugar amplio. Ahorita de aquí ya nos vamos para allá, estar compartiendo un rato con ustedes. Y bueno, espero que les haya gustado, que haya sido esta sesión de